I think Xbox is ending the console wars. What do you say? And I actually think by ending the console wars, Xbox wins the console wars, if that makes sense. Wrap your head around that dichotomy. No, but really, this is an article that we're going to go through today of an interview that Matt Booty did last week where he talks about Microsoft Gaming and Xbox putting games over on PlayStation and making some of the decisions they moved. He thinks it's been a wild success. I think by all objective measures, it has been a wild success, and I think it makes total sense. I think this is going to end console wars, and by ending console wars, let's put it this way. I think the first, let's say there's major three in the console space. There's Nintendo Switch, which kind of does its own thing. There's PlayStation, and there's Xbox, and oftentimes it's PlayStation versus Xbox that come up in the console war space. I think whoever ends the console wars wins the console wars. What do I mean by that? Well, let's jump into it today. Let's jump into this article. Before we do, if you like this video, if you like videos about Xbox news and opinions, hit the like button, subscribe to this channel. We do videos like this all the time. My name is X1 the Gamer. Thank you very much for being here. So, what do I mean by the first console or the first entity of the big three to end the console wars wins the console wars? I think that because of technology and the pace of technology, that platform exclusivity becomes less relevant and service exclusivity becomes more relevant. What do I mean by that? Netflix versus Amazon Prime versus Disney versus HBO Max. I think we're going to see the same thing in gaming, and that's what Game Pass is and the Game Pass subscription model. Now, if you don't think that the Game Pass subscription model is going to work, number one, I think you're wrong. But number two, that's the perspective that I'm coming from. So you may just disagree with me and think that the Game Pass subscription is just not going to work. It's never going to be a thing. It's going to eventually go away and die. I don't think that's correct. I think technology is pointing us elsewhere. And I will say it again. I've said it before. We consume all of our other media that way. Why not consume gaming that way? It makes complete sense. It's why Netflix has games on it right now. You can go play Oxenfree, for instance, over on Netflix. It's why Amazon Prime does. It's why YouTube does. Everybody's jumping into the gaming space, and it's because of technology. And the benefits, the rewards are there to be reaped. Let's go through this article. Let's see what Matt Booty had to say, though, about Sea of Thieves on PlayStation 5 and other Xbox exclusives. Let's just jump right into it here. This is WindowsCentral.com. Go check them out, guys. Samuel Tolbert writing. Fantastic website to get a lot of my news from there. Matt Booty, president of game content and studios at Microsoft Gaming, spoke with Variety for the Strictly Business podcast on Thursday. Booty touched on a large number of topics, including reactions to the recent Xbox Games Showcase, bringing some Xbox games to PlayStation 5, and the closure of some studios. Here is what he had to say. We are beginning to hit the rhythm that we've always aspired for, and that really is our commitment to our players of being able to deliver a much more steady cadence of games on a more predictable rhythm. Booty said, noting that fan and press reaction to the showcase has been extremely positive, with praise of the number and variety of first-party games shown and slated for the next couple of years. I mean, that's exactly it. They have so many studios now. It was only a matter of time before that ball started to get rolling. And once that ball gets rolling, it's a snowball effect. More and more come on a more regular cadence. And again, the value proposition has always been there for a service like Game Pass. Now the question is, how do you entice outsiders to Game Pass? And it's through these acquisitions, and you can start to see it happening, whether it be Call of Duty on Game Pass, whether it be Indiana Jones coming to Game Pass, but this regular cadence of big name titles and games coming to Game Pass, even if they are already over on other consoles. So, for instance, Call of Duty, if you're on PlayStation, you're a big Call of Duty guy, you may not get Game Pass this year one, but what do you do in year two? What do you do in year three? What do you do in year four? Eventually, you may get Game Pass just for Call of Duty. Like, that's it. And I think that it was only a matter of time before this snowball got rolling and this rock got rolling down the hill, and it's only a matter of time, I think, before it becomes unstoppable. Continuing to what Matt Booty said, we certainly want to make sure every game is given space and has an opportunity to shine, and we don't end up overshadowing a game by launching it too close to another. Booty explains, adding that the portfolio planning revolves around ensuring the teams don't conflict with other companies' titles, but also, quote, so that we're not getting in our own way. That makes total sense there. He then goes on to talk about Fallout movies and lining those up, and I think those are different things. He then goes on to talk about the studio closures, and I want to skip that because I don't think there's anything to learn new there. Every gaming company right now is consolidating. That's just the nature of the market that we're in. So I don't think there's anything new to be learned there. And as a company, you're not going to come out for legal reasons. I don't think you even can come out and discuss it in detail right now. Let's jump to PlayStation 5 and the future of Xbox exclusives here in this article. 2024 saw Microsoft ship 4 Xbox console exclusive titles across other consoles. Touching on all of the games, Booty notes that Microsoft's main focus and success has been with Sea of Thieves, a share world pirate adventure developed by Rare. That makes sense to me. It's a live service game. It's dependent on a lot of players being in there. It's not a single player game. It really leans heavily on this shared experience, this shared sandbox, being a pirate with your friends, fighting other pirates, etc. kind of experience. Also, it's incredibly unique. There's no other game out there like it right now. So it just makes that one, out of all the ones that were shared with PlayStation, that one made the most sense to me because that's the format of that game. And I think we've seen that everybody felt that way. The market definitely felt that way, and you could see it has had a ton of success on PlayStation 5. Here's what Booty says. We have been really pleased, Booty says, noting that when Sea of Thieves launched across PlayStation the 5, that when it launched across PlayStation 5, the team saw uptick in Xbox and PC player engagement as well, while also sharing that a large number of PlayStation players were enjoying the game in crossplay. This success grows the franchise overall, per Booty, allowing the teams at Rare and Xbox to continue to invest in the game. Again, I think that style of game just makes sense, and why Xbox would put that over on PlayStation 5. When asked about what this means for the future of Xbox exclusives, Booty reiterates that the teams are evaluating games hitting other consoles on a, quote, case-by-case basis, adding that Xbox players can absolutely continue to expect many games to launch as exclusives, and that the Xbox promise that all first-party games come to Xbox Game Pass will continue to be true. I think that's where we're getting to, and I think that strategy makes sense in a Game Pass era, i.e. all first-party Xbox games come to Game Pass, but that doesn't mean that they're not coming anywhere else long-term. Long-term, I think absolutely you will see those. Now, what's going to be interesting is long-term, does a Halo go anywhere? I don't think so. Does a Gears of War? I don't think so. I think Sea of Thieves made a ton of sense. Now, does a Halo multiplayer infinite version, does that go? Maybe. I could see that go elsewhere. I don't think so, though. At this point, I think it's too early in this new generation of gaming for anything like that to happen. I think there's going to be some select titles that are just never make it. Maybe, obviously, they go PC and Xbox. When we talk cross-platform, we're talking about going to PlayStation primarily or Nintendo Switch, for instance. On PC, I don't consider that cross-platform, as that is clearly a part of Game Pass strategy there. So the question is, how I proposed this at the beginning. How does this end console wars, and how do they win it as a result? I think the strategy of releasing traditionally exclusive games like a Sea of Thieves on PlayStation is the beginning of a new era in gaming where platform exclusivity becomes less relevant. We can already see that happening with PC games. Even PlayStation is moving that direction. With sharing games over on PC, for instance, and they've been against that for years. Nintendo even is moving in that direction. And I think it leads to more collaborative, and inclusive gaming long term. And I think eventually you get to a point where it's not about the hardware you're playing on. Now, this is like 10 years down the road, maybe sooner, maybe 7 years, but more about the service that you're experiencing it through. In the same way that it doesn't matter if I have a Samsung or an LG, I still watch Netflix. I'm in their ecosystem, the Netflix ecosystem. And I think that Xbox continuing to make these games on a case-by-case basis, for instance, like a Sea of Thieves, I think multiplayer games make the most sense, absolutely. I think that it does a couple things. I think within the game itself, it creates a more unified gaming community, and I think it obviously leads to larger player bases. I think it leads to more robust multiplayer experiences, like we've seen with Sea of Thieves. And long term, I think it leads to higher quality games as a result. So because you're enhancing the game's ecosystems there. I did write down a few questions for us to go over, and that is, do you believe that bringing Xbox games to PlayStation is beneficial for the gaming community as a whole? I do, but I think it's also selfish in that it's Xbox way of getting their foot in the door to essentially advertise Game Pass to you. And that's what Call of Duty is. Call of Duty now, even if you're playing it on PlayStation, is one giant advertisement for Game Pass. Because even when you you pay $70 to fire this bad boy up on PlayStation, $70. That's a year's Game Pass, basically, right? Like you could get Game Pass for the price of one game. Oh, and by the way, you get all these other games as a result as well. And that's what it is. It's one giant. Think of Call of Duty now as one giant commercial wherever you're playing it for Game Pass. That's it. It's huge. It's monumental. I don't think we can fully comprehend yet how big of a shift this is in gaming. But I think history will show that Call of Duty being on Game Pass was the kingmaker. And I think we're about to see Game Pass become the king. Next question I wrote down is, how should Microsoft balance exclusivity with cross-platform releases to maximize player engagement? I think it does matter case by case. I think live service games make the most sense. I think games that traditionally are across multiple platforms also make the most sense. They've made that decision, for instance, with Elder Scrolls. I could see that being, or they've not made that decision, but Elder Scrolls Online, for instance, is available everywhere. It's multiplayer, and it's traditionally been everywhere. Why would you remove that exclusivity? The answer, you wouldn't. Call of Duty is another example. Multiplayer, also, it's been available everywhere. Let's not move it. The reason is, again, it's one giant-ass commercial for Game Pass. That's it. Anyways, I would love to know what you think. What do you think about Matt Booty's talking points here? What do you think about this article overall? Do you agree with me that I think console wars are coming to an end, and I think whoever ends it first, or whoever puts that nail in the coffin, wins, and wins for a long time? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel. Again, my name is X1 the Gamer. We do videos like this all the time right here, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.